Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and today you just get me, all right? We were supposed to record yesterday, which is our usual time slot of Tuesday nights. And we didn't because I was selfish and I went to go watch Deadpool with my wife and we had a good time. So again, can't complain too much. Everything kind of worked out, guys. But yes, here we are. We definitely have to record an episode today. Don't want to extend it any longer. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. Unfortunately, I had plans to make it out to the game between Atlas and Houston Dynamo, and something came up. Hey, whenever your boss tells you, when your jefe tells you, hey, man, come to our beach house and hang out, you go. All right. And you make it a family affair. And we had a blast. So thank Dustin Richardson for that. He invited us. Chris went out there too Friday. Just went there for the day, and I showed up later in the day on Friday and spent 2 nights over there. So great time with friends and family. So the kids had a good time, and we did watch the game together, which rarely happens unless it's a final that we can make it out to. Like we did the U.S. Open Cup and a couple other games in between. But we were able to watch that very good, entertaining match that I'll talk about a little better or a little in detail in a little bit. But it's not the norm for me to just talk by myself. I can talk a lot, but usually I like that human interaction and me seeing myself talk. Let's see how far that goes because. I'm not Finister. I'm not Christian Putalias with 442. They do a great job of keeping a monologue going. But here we are. If you see me, take sips or drink out of this, it's nothing other than candy. So just in here drinking some candy and aloe vera. So, if you see me drinking something, that's what we got today. We'll try to make this a short episode, shorter than normal, just because it's me, and I don't want you guys to get annoyed of just listening to me. But yeah, so earlier today, Dustin was able to chat with or sit down and talk to be more precise, with the Dash goalkeeper that had a great display against Tigres on Sunday night when the Dash upset Tigres. So I think Tigres is probably the best team in Liga MX Femenil, and the Dash ends up getting a 2-1 result, a great result for the Dash. When it comes to the table and advancing is very difficult just because only one team advances out of that group. And they really need a miracle. Apart from winning, they definitely need a win against Pachuca tomorrow night at Shell Energy Stadium. But apart from winning and needing to score a ton of goals, they really, really, really need a lot of luck and a lot of help. So it looks like the tournament's going to end there for them if not all the stars align. But you know what? I was going to start talking about the Dynamo too, but I might as well stay in this topic here with the Dash. The big news was that Alice Signer was relieved of her duties. There had been a lot of questions with what she was providing for the team, what she wasn't providing for the team. I think if you've listened to this podcast, we just always talked about the lack of experience that she had, and it was noticeable in some of the roster building. And it was even more noticeable when you saw so many injuries happening and so many people out during this international duty, or of course we have a couple ladies in the Olympics. But when you just field or have just enough players to not get the game suspended or delayed, it is very difficult and challenging. And NWSL is a little trickier of a league compared to not just MLS, but the rest of the leagues in the world. Um, but still, is that's the whole point of a GM being able to kind of move pieces around and be able to have a team that can compete. We still don't know anything really. What's happening with Fran Alonso? Another week he's out. I think at this point he's going for almost a month. Um, we did get a press conference with Ricky Clark, the assistant for the team, and you'll be able to hear that on our YouTube page. So while we're here, we mentioned YouTube. Make sure you follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel as Bayou City Soccer and our social media. So on Twitter, X, however you want to call it, and Instagram, it'd be Bayou City Soccer as well. Um, really, it really goes a long way, get us those follows, those likes, and more than anything, like we always say, to just keep growing the sport here in Houston, which is big. But if we can reach people to, get into the MLS and fill an NWSL and get a ton of people into the stadium, that's kind of what we're here for. But and lastly, want to thank our sponsors, Ugly Guppy. So I actually talked to the owner, Carlos, this week, just to see how they were doing. I know they had posted a little bit of having some issues when the hurricane passed through a few weeks back. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. They lost power for over a week. Once they regained power, they realized that a lot of the equipment had suffered some damage. So they had more delays because of that. So they're finally catching up and they're actually super excited because they are, yeah, basically all cut up. They should be cut up by Monday. And we actually were expecting to maybe get some gear from them for Leagues Cup. Obviously, didn't happen. Um, but we'll still be wearing their gear after the fact once we get it. Hopefully this Tuesday coming up. But yeah, definitely support local. They do a great job with anything you need: shirts, spirit shirts, school shirts, baseball shirts, anything and everything that you would like to use to market your baseball team, your high school, your elementary, your little league baseball, man. Hit up Ugly Guppy. Again, they do a great job and they'll take care of you. Just tell them that Bayou City Soccer send you their way. Um, so that's a little bit of housekeeping. Again, I'm hoping that we go through this episode quite quickly. And going back a little bit into the dash, mentioned or started mentioning early in the episode that they did defeat Tigres, something that a lot of people did not expect. Obviously, after losing to Casey Current, one of the best NWSL teams in the first leg, and then in this match against Tigres, Ordonez and Oliveri end up scoring and defeating that great team. So uh, the player to note, obviously, I mentioned the two goal scorers, but none other than the goalkeeper. Heather Hins was absolutely a monster. Joked around with the guys on our group chat saying, Jane is out and Heather is coming for the throne. And if you're going for the throne, you best not miss. And um, funny enough, when I said that, she got scored the goal, and so she lost a clean sheet. But her performance was just ridiculous. She had, I believe, like 6 saves, some very challenging saves too. So it wasn't like it was easy peasy for her at all. And she kept the team in the game. And of course, if you are able to catch the lead and defensively do a good job, then you're always going to have a good opportunity to win the match. But here's the interview. I'll play it so she goes a little bit more detailed and Dustin asks a couple more questions to get to know Heather.
To the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We are pleased to be
Oopsie. Let's try that again.
by Houston Dash goalkeeper Heather Hens. Heather, how's it going?
going. Just finished practice, just daily grind.
It's a little warm out there, right?
Yeah. A little toasty, just a tiny bit.
It's either raining or super hot, right?
Yeah. There's no in between. It's either one or the other. So
Yeah.
you never know which one you really want.
Exactly. So coming off your debut on Sunday against Tigres, so you got your pro debut. When did you find out that you were going to actually start? And did you get to talk to your family and stuff? Did they all get to watch?
Yeah, so I found out 2 days before. And I didn't really think it was gonna happen. Like I was obviously positive, hoping it would. But being a goalkeeper is a very competitive environment, which most people know. So you just didn't really know it was gonna happen. But I immediately got to text my mom and a few friends, and my dad and my three sisters. And they all got to watch. And then before the game, I wasn't really going to tell anybody just because I was like, I just want to focus on like the team and I want to focus on doing everything I can to help the team. But then I ended up like posting, so like all my friends knew, and then that's kind of how everyone found out.
Yeah, Ricky was pretty close to the vest. He didn't really say what was going to happen, so
Yeah.
I think you kept everyone guessing. But so going into it, you knew you were going to start. What was the nerves like before the game, and then walking out there, in front of that stadium?
I think honestly, there was more nerves the second I was told that I was going to play and like the lead up to it. Obviously this is a dream for so many young kids that like to be able to even be on a team, let alone get to play a single game, like it means the world to anybody. So like I was really nervous going into it, but then once I like kind of got into my old routines that I used to do in college and just like in that locker room, I felt obviously you're always going to feel a little bit of nerves, but like I felt a little bit more at ease and like finally like I was getting back to like my happy place, because when I'm like on the field it just like feels like another universe.
Yeah, and then you got thrown into the fire, kind of. Tigres, one of the better teams in the continent. What was it like, having Tigres as your opponent for your first game?
Honestly, it's crazy. I mean, obviously a lot of the girls were on their national teams, and so I knew a good amount of them were, but I was trying not to like think of it like that. I was really just trying to think of it as like, this is an opportunity just to go out there and play for that kid that had dreamed about this for so long. And more importantly, play for the team that's put this hope into me and this, like they really, it's obviously a pro environment. Like it's really hard. And it's not as easy as college where they're like, we're gonna do this, this, and that. Like this is a job and it has to be a job. But a lot of the girls came up to me before the game. They're like, we believe in you. Like you've worked so hard, you can do this. So really going out there and playing for them. Yeah, the opponent was tough, but like if you rewatch the game, you see my center backs making insane saves as well. Like they're putting their body just as far on the line as I was. So just trying to like prove to them that I'm also willing to put in the work for them.
So college to the pros, you talked about it a little bit, but what's the biggest difference you think you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, this is people's jobs. So they put 100% on the line, and there's times where you think something's not going to be an opportunity, and then it is. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more competitive. Luckily, I went to South Carolina, so I went to a very competitive environment, SEC, very physical. But so I think they prepared me, but again, this is just a whole nother level.
So talking about that game, Tigres, you started making some saves. As you get into a game like that, you haven't played in a while, obviously, but do you just kind of get into a rhythm? Does it just come back to you? It's like riding a bike. Just how did you kind of settle into the game there? Diana's early goal, I'm sure it helped probably.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, yes, it helped that we scored first. And it also helped that like I was able to like kind of make a save in and around me like the first time, like first ball, kind of just get that momentum going. But like when I'm in, it's like not about, oh, I'm playing a Mexican national team forward. It's about like I have a job. My job is to keep it out. Whatever I have to do to keep it out, I have to do. And it's just like it's kind of like a fight or flight mode. Like you are in there and you're in battle and you have to just go for it. Like not think about who's in front of you. Just think about, it's like mind and ball. That's all I think about. So Yeah, like obviously I'm thinking about the forwards and like who I'm playing against and building that momentum, but I'm really just thinking, what can I do to help this team as much as possible?
So you start making some saves, you start getting into the game. We hear athletes kind of talk about being in the zone. Does the ball feel bigger? Do you do you just kind of start like doing things just out of habit? Just what is it like when you're having a good game like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our goalkeeper coach preps us for roughly what we could see. But at that point, you are just fighting. Like in the second half, when we thought she was offside, but she wasn't, and I had to come off, like I did not see a single thing. I was like, I don't even care if she's off or not. Like I am running through this. I don't even care. Like I need to save this. This needs to stay out, especially because I know these poor field players are running in this heat. They're running their butts off. Like they are doing everything in the world. And I'm like, I've kind of just been standing back here. So like, I got to do my job right now. Like I got to give them a breath for a second.
Is it kind of that goalkeeper mentality, just everything you have, just you're gonna block it with your face, with whatever you can do. Yeah.
Every goalkeeper, it's like, I don't even care. Hit me in the face. As long as it doesn't go in, I don't care.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you mentioned your goalkeeper coach, but Eric officially named today. I don't know if you heard officially, but now you're a goalkeeper coach. What's it been like working with him this season?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I think he's very patient with me. I think that if it weren't for him being here, I don't know how well I really would have done. He has made sure that he not only like tries to help develop me, which I don't know how often you truly see someone try to develop a lot of keepers at this stage because you're in the pros. It's been really patient with me and he's challenged me a ton. Like no matter what, doesn't matter how great of a practice or bad of a practice I've had, he's like, what are we going to do next? Like, how are we going to build from this? Like, yeah, you could have played well on this day, but like, don't get too high, don't get too full of yourself. And also, maybe you're not training well this day, like, don't get too low. Like, just find that medium ground, which sometimes I just need to do a little bit better about.
Yeah. And not officially your coach, but you get to play behind Jane Campbell, one of the greats. Obviously, she's at the Olympics now. But being around Jane, practicing with Jane, what's it been like having a legend like that to learn from?
Yeah, I know. When I first got drafted, I got a DM from Jane, and seeing her name in my phone for the first time was like, wow, this is like becoming like a reality. Like she's clearly one of the greats. Like I always say, like it's crazy being in the NWSL as it is, let alone playing behind who I think is the best keeper in the league. Clearly I learned a ton from her. We're probably the opposites in a lot of different ways, but it's cool to learn like the way she goes about things. Probably the hardest worker I've ever met. She grinds in and out every single day. Like she practice is her like third workout of the day. So like learning her mentality has really helped me. Learning her athleticism, it's kind of hard to just like watch that and then be able to do it, but then like seeing how she's able to do that kind of from behind the scenes is really cool. And then just hearing her opinion on things sometimes is like sometimes she'll come up with stuff and I'm like, I never would have thought of that, but you know what, now I'm gonna try it. So it's definitely really cool.
Yeah, it seems like she's on Instagram, like in the early hours, posting about her running and stuff.
Yeah, I'm still asleep at that point.
Yeah, same. So you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but coming from South Carolina, you came to, I guess, South Carolina's NWSL team now. You have JY. Ryan came back yesterday. So what's it been like
Yeah.
having some familiar faces kind of helping you
Yeah.
acclimate?
Yeah. I mean, I think me for playing in my debut game and having JY right in front of me, like that meant the world to me because we played with each other for roughly 4 years because she took her 5th year. And it just like felt like a little bit of home being there again because South Carolina, like I give all the props to them. I love that school more than anything. I'll try and convince anybody to go there. It truly is a family environment. So just like having kind of like a sister in front of me, like really meant the world. And yeah, she'll get on me, like she'll be like, Heather, not good enough. And I'm like, you know what? Needed that. Thank you, JY. And then having Ryan back is just awesome because I got to play with her for a few years and she's just probably the most positive and happy person ever. So like getting to see her before the game, I was actually like in tears when I got to see her in crew. So it meant the world.
So you're getting to live in Houston now. We talked to Avery a couple months ago, and we've seen the trials of Benny around town. So what's it been like just living in Houston? What are some of the things that you've kind of taken to, some of your favorite parts about the city?
Yeah, no, so Avery's my roommate, so I get to also kind of help mom Benny. So it's really fun with him. The first few months I didn't have a car, so I had no idea anything of Houston, and it's not a small city, so it's very hard to get around without a car. But lately I've just been kind of like trying to get out as much as possible, go to as many parks. I really like the Herman Park and like the little Japanese park. That's probably been one of my favorite places I've been. My favorite place and all is to go to Milk and Cookies. Great coffee. I wish I could be a spokesperson for them because I have their coffee almost every day. But really, I just kind of like after training, I don't want to like waste too much energy because training is a lot. So I don't really do too much. But Houston's been cool. The food's great. But it does get expensive, so I need to stop going out to eat.
Yeah, I think that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
Happens to all of us. So before we let you go, obviously big game tomorrow for you guys against Pachuca. And so what are your kind of goals for that game and then going forward into the regular season as we get back to NWSL play?
Honestly, right now my goal is just to be there, be in the moment. No matter what happens, no matter how good or bad things go, just enjoy every moment that I get because I mean, I've seen my sister go through this league, I've seen my friends go through this league, and just making sure that like no matter what, I'm enjoying the moment. Being the best teammate I can be. I know that like there's been a lot of highs and lows in this past season, and there's been times where like I get really quiet and like felt like, oh, I wasn't like that big happy energy and like truly like embracing what I'm doing right now because this is a dream so many kids have when they're young, and I didn't think it was possible for a really long time. So just like really just embracing it.
Yep, that sounds great. So she is Houston Dash goalkeeper Heather Hens. Heather, we really appreciate the time. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
And I'm muted, of course. So, great interview by our friend Dustin Richardson, our Hefe, taking care of an interview so you guys can get to know who that great goalkeeper was that played against Tigres. So Heather has did a really good job. Debut, as mentioned in the interview. Um, really love listening to the fact of just players coming, especially through a debut, and just speaking about um, how they've always dreamt about it. As kids, I know that a lot of people like us that played soccer, like myself, always had that dream. Obviously, it didn't happen for us, but it's great to see it being realized by a lot of the players that go professional. But yeah, so again, Pachuca ends up playing the Houston Dash, or sorry, Pachuca comes to visit and play Houston Dash tomorrow at 7 p.m. Again, must win, and they need to let the dominoes kind of fall into place to get some help to make it to the next phase. We jumped into what has been a fantastic month for Kenny Bundy and his boys, man. They are currently on a 5-game positive streak. There's a draw in there. I was going to say win. But they've taken care of some very good teams, including Austin and North Texas, aka Dallas and LA, beating LAFC. So actually, yep. I was gonna say the team that they drew was Galaxy's Academy. So overall, they've been doing very well. It took a while. You could tell that had been a little frustrating for Kenny and the boys, getting a lot of losses and ties, a bunch at home. But this last one, Gabe Siegel ends up getting his minutes, starting and scoring a brace to get the team a win. So they're on a roll. A lot of those players Reed, Siegel as mentioned. Diego Gonzalez is having a fantastic season. And for me, one that I think we mentioned a bunch of times is Sebastian Rodriguez. He's been playing with the youth or it's the national, the younger national teams for Mexico. So that's a guy to keep. If you're a Mexican fan, that's a guy to keep an eye out. I think it'd be great to have a player of his stature. I mean, the kid. I mean, he's a kid. He's 16 years old. He's playing very well, and he's learning from the best when it comes to HH. He plays very similar to him. Box to box midfielder that can do the dirty work as needed. And of course, some of the other guys are getting minutes like Valverde, Sargent, first team players. It's good to see them get minutes and get into it. Obviously, Exxon Arsu has been injured, and it looks like he's finally getting some recovery done. So we can just hope that he can make it into at least the end of the season or maybe toward the playoffs if the team makes it. So that's more or less what Dynamo 2 has been providing. You can always keep up with Dynamo 2 as Christian Putelia does a great job of writing an article every single Tuesday called Tuesday regarding the Dynamo 2, the academy team. And yeah, he does a good point of going through the match and giving you all the details. And of course, this Saturday, Kenny's team is going to be visiting Colorado 2. Let me see. The game will be at 9 p.m. It's a late game on Saturday, so 9 p.m. against Colorado. Hopefully, the boys can keep that streak alive and get a positive result away from home. Moving quickly into the Dynamo again, we're trying to keep this pretty short episode just because it's just one crazy dude recording. Which actually, talking about crazy, because I forgot I was going to mention it. Obviously, Dustin did a great job with that interview, but we definitely have to thank communications department and the communications team at Houston Dynamo FC. This case was obviously the Dash side of things. So Edgar Belize, thank you so much for allowing us and for the players to be able make themselves available for us to interview. And since I was going into Dynamo, that's what I thought about it, because we should be talking to the newest Dynamo player to debut, and Lawrence Anali, planning to get an interview done with him tomorrow. They will post as soon as we have it edited and completed. So if you guys want to learn more about the young German player, the young German winger that they viewed against Atlas, keep an eye out for a special episode, probably called Bayou, or not Bayou City, our Orange Talk on our Bayou City Soccer Podcast feed tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. I know I keep saying tomorrow, right now being Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. We can just get the episodes and the content as quickly as we can for you guys that are always looking for it. So just what I wanted to mention about the game, the things that I saw was a Ezequiel Ponce who's hungry. He obviously hasn't had a lot of opportunities on goal. I mean, this guy scored, I believe, like every other game in Greece, and right now playing 2 games, not necessarily full 90 minutes on each, but he's gonna get a little frustrated, desperate, maybe, especially when they paid so much money for him. As a fan, I'm not saying that that's what you should be feeling, because who am I to tell you what to feel? But you can see it in him as you watch the game. His press is so good. He's super fast. His pace is ridiculous. I didn't expect him to be that quick, but he is very fast, and he's doing a good job. I think the goals are going to come, especially with Anali getting into the team. I would love to see Ali you play on the left and Anali on the right, or vice versa, and then let Ponce be the reciprocate of some crosses and some dangerous play that could lead into goals. I think that, and we discussed this a little bit with Joey last week, but the way that the team is set up right now, with Dorsey being your dangerous winger coming all the way from the back, um, I think it slows you down. A lot of the times, by the time he makes it up there, everybody being the opposing team is already back defending, and you lose that aspect of surprise. So, if you can have two wingers, like we've seen in the past, if you want to compare it to anything, kind of what we used to have here in Houston with Albert Ellis and Kyoto out on the wings, and then Mauro Manotas. So, it would be good to see. I mean, he could just test it out. There's a game coming up, vital game. They need to win it, but if you're going to test it out, it could be this game against RSL, something different, something that RSL hasn't seen from the Dynamo, as this is starting to kind of become a little rivalry for how many games they've played in the last 2-3 years. It's been a ridiculous amount, but yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see more of a 4-3-3 with the three being purely attacking, and just seeing what that looks like. So, talking about my notas, obviously he visits with Atlas, doesn't see the field. A bunch of the guys who were out there covering the team from us, but I think the one that I saw was from Teo DN with Cesar, talking to Manotas and just asking him, how it felt to be back and all that. Reminisce part of visiting where you used to live, used to go home. It's pretty good to hear from the guy, and great that he did not score on his former team, because that would have been a story, um, I suppose, to be added into the mix. But yeah, so that game against RSL that I mentioned, it's on Monday, August 5th. Make sure you get your tickets for that. The summer is ending, guys. This is why everything's just kind of like a little bit of just thrown together, man. It's been difficult to try to get some vacation in my behalf. Um, Recently had a big life change and getting a new job. So because of that, it's been wacky. It's been wacky for us here at Bayou City Soccer, because for us, life intermingles with this quote unquote hobby that we have. But we're excited because actually, Leagues Cup does not end with that RSL game. Of course, the Dynamo keep going. There's a possibility that make another home game here, but um, Inter Miami and Tigres are playing on Saturday. Obviously, Tigres is playing right now as we recorded this against Puebla. And you know what? Not that anybody asked, but the game is a draw right now, 1-1, right before halftime. So, um, that game is live right now at Shell Energy Stadium, and I haven't seen how many people are at the stadium, but I want to say it's about 5,000. So, obviously Wednesday night, even with Tigres on board, but I think if you're a Tigres fan, you're probably gonna put a lot of your money to see them at NRG in the bigger stadium against Inter Miami. Likely no Lionel Messi. Obviously, he's dealing with that injury. He's suffering Copa America, and he's been kind of nursing for a bit. But you still get Luis Suarez, you still get Jordi Alba, you still get Sergio Busquets, and it'd be fantastic. As a Barcelona fan, I can't wait to see them, and I will be at that game. I think a lot of our guys will be at the game covering the Inter Miami versus Tigres, just because it's a very big matchup here locally, as Tigres Tigres uses Houston as their hub. So so far from what I gather, there's about 55,000 tickets already sold. We could likely get a full stadium for I guess regional. club match, which is fantastic. I mean, I don't think that's ever really happened. It feels so when Man U or Man City or Barcelona or Real Madrid come to town, but who would have guessed that you would get more than 50,000 people to see MLS versus Liga MX team, compete. But if somebody was going to do it, it was definitely going to be, for me, one of the teams from Monterrey. So whether it be Rayados or Tigres, they do have quite a lot of fans here in Houston, more than I believe any other Liga MX team. But America is always going to pull, and Chivas are always going to pull. But even if it would have been maybe like an America versus Inter Miami or America Chivas. America Chivas would be ginormous. I don't know why I didn't even think about that. But between an MLS team and a Liga MX, this is the matchup to be. So if you go to the game and you see us or look for us, well, check our social medias. We'll probably post where we're roaming around. I know that I'll be there. You know what? I forgot to ask Chris if he's going to be there. I'm sure he is. Dustin's going to be there. I believe quite a few of our guys helping a creative team helping us with videos and photography. They're going to be there. And it should be a blast, man. It should be a party. Let's get out there if you can. If you are even trying to get a glance of Lionel Messi, which I'm hoping that he's there. Just selfish aspect of being a big Barcelona fan, man. Who doesn't want to see the GOAT, right? But yeah, make it out there, make it to those games, buy tickets for the RSL game. I will try to be that as well. It's a little difficult because it's work week, but we'll see how that goes. Okay. But yeah, don't forget to always follow us on all social media platforms, like I mentioned earlier. Make sure to subscribe as well. To mention the YouTube channel, but make sure you subscribe to our podcast, man. So if you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please, like, subscribe, rate, give us a review, give us 5-star if you like us. I mean, if you don't like us, give us a 1-star, but tell us why. We would love to know why. But yeah. I hope that you have a good night, a good day. Whenever you listen to us, I guess when this episode drops in the feed. So don't forget to hold it down. And like always, keep it forever orange. Vámonos.